Hello, Tim from Fair Play now on the 5th of May 2021, and got some interesting stuff here on screen to share with you now. First of all, just a quick one. This guy from Sanity for Sweden, if you saw my video or channel recommendations from a few days ago, my top 8 channel recommendations, I think I called it, he was one of them, and his video today, very interesting indeed. I think this literally just happened last night. The Serbian parliament was actually stormed. Apparently they announced another lockdown in that country, and the people just gathered in Belgrade and weren't going to have it. So they stormed Parliament, and I believe the government has now gone back on the lockdown thing and said they're not going to do them anymore. Not sure, and this guy here was saying that that's not confirmed, so not sure whether that is actually happening or not, but certainly this Parliament storming happened last night. So very interesting. Not that I condone such actions. Revolutions and that kind of action is always ends up badly, doesn't it? Russian Revolution, just a few years later, 5 years later, you ended up with Stalin. French Revolution, that happened, and just within about 2 or 3 years you had Robespierre, who was basically a French Stalin. So it doesn't end well, but it just shows you that, politicians, if you're watching, I think the people around the world are beginning to wake up to your scams, and this tends to be what happens. So, a warning is there to be taken, I think. The main thing I wanted to talk about today is UK column news. You won't see this video here on YouTube, and they did have another one on YouTube, which I think they interviewed a senior nurse from the health service on the 14th of April, a whistleblower. Well, they actually got another whistleblower who I think they interviewed on the 18th of April, although I've only just come across it last night. And this one is actually a senior board member of this organisation here. And this little paragraph here kind of explains more or less everything that was said in this half-an-hour video. So, because I don't think, even if you go to ukcolumn.org, whether you'll even see it there. I think it's behind the paywall, but I've actually joined, so I've got access to this video. But just reading this out here, the senior board member warns government that the government is now controlling this organisation, and it is the government that is actually dictating what they should be doing during COVID emergency measures. She states that the result of the government's enforced COVID and Big V policies can be described as, and then she uses this very, very big word here, just like the other lady did, government messaging to her senior colleagues is removing their capacity for rational thought, and they're effectively being mind controlled to implement policies which in more rational moments they would challenge as wrong. Fear prevails, and she and her board colleagues are being expected to toe an unwritten policy line set predominantly in conference calls with no written record. She warns that if her privately troubled colleagues do not speak out, your children will be next. So this is the gist of the what I saw here. and they've also got a written transcript going all the way down here. And after a few introductions, some of the key takeaways on this transcript and the video are, first of all, even the senior board members don't even know what's in the big V themselves. So there's certainly no informed consent going on as far as patients are concerned. There's no proper adverse event reporting going on, and in fact patients are being told that adverse events are normal and to be expected. And she actually says that 2 days in bed after receiving the big V is perfectly normal, whereas in previous times with just normal V's for the flu, etc., that would have been seen as anything but normal, in fact a worrying sign. So things like this have been normalised, so this lady is saying. So here's what she's saying. One of the key ones are a lack of true informed consent, lack of a balanced risk versus benefit ratio being given to people. I think people are told that their adverse events are normal. So yeah, that's exactly what I was talking about a minute ago. And here's another thing I was just saying. She's saying here, this is where I agreed with your caller on the 14th of April. Most people are just following what they're asked to do, and even at board level here, she's saying don't know what's in the injections. I mean, incredible, absolutely incredible, isn't it? So she's saying here what happens is she'll be having conversations with her peers, and they have rational conversations about various concerns they have, and then they sit down again a couple of days later and the rational conversation is gone, and she's having an irrational one which doesn't make sense. It's based on fear or emotions. Something's changed from what they've been told in other meetings or what's gone on in briefings. So it's almost like 1 minute they're agreeing with her and her concerns, and then the next minute they've almost been propagandized. And yeah, she's seeing these things happening. So even at a very senior level in this organisation, people are not thinking rationally, and they definitely are having an element of psychology that's been driven behind this. Absolutely unbelievable, isn't it? Yeah, these are sort of people high up in this organisation, and she's saying they're almost being brainwashed to toe the party line, as it were. So she's saying here that not only do the general public have no idea what's in the big V, but even many or most people in the health organisation don't know what's in it either. They don't know what's in them. They don't understand the risks. And she's saying here, people initially say, oh yeah, I was 50-50 as to whether I should take the big V or not. So she's saying that represents a subconscious belief that they might not be all they're cracked up to be, shall we say. But as time has worn on, they've actually decided to take it anyway. So probably because of peer pressure and coercion, and perhaps threats of not being able to keep their job unless they do have it. And then the interviewer here is saying, is there any considerations being given to pregnant women and the big V? Are they sort of treated separately, or are they just given the big V along with everybody else, and she's saying basically saying no, there isn't any special considerations for pregnant women, or not that she knows of anyway. Bearing in mind she's high up as well. And we're getting towards the end of the interview, and the interviewer is saying, if you had a magic wand, what would you like to see happen right now to resolve what's going on? And she just basically says it would stop now before we hurt anyone else. That would be amazing. That would be the best day ever, because every day I wake up I think how I can find that golden nugget to try and wake up the people around me to the damage we are causing. And then she goes on to say, use this big word here again. And she doesn't disagree with that statement. So, and earlier in the interview, she uses, these big words. She used the propaganda word, and here she's using the G word, the Geno word. So very, very big words indeed to be using from a senior person. And then one last question here from the interviewer. What's the one biggest bit of advice you'd give to your colleagues to encourage them to think more about what's going on? And all she says here is basically this: your kids are next. So I found that to be a very, very powerful film on UK Column News that I watched last night, and just kind of tried to go through the transcript there a bit for you, just to give you the most salient points. I would highly recommend you watch the video, even if you have to join, and I'm not sure if it is behind their paywall or not. It's definitely not on YouTube. It doesn't seem to be on the sort of free bit of the website, so you might have to join. But as I say, I can recommend joining UK Column News. It's only £3 a month, and you do get access to some of these more powerful and enlightening interviews and films that they have on the site, as well as their just normal sort of programs. And the fact that we've got these very senior health people coming out now, whistleblowing, and coming out with that kind of information is just incredible. So if you can watch this, or at least read this transcript through in full, please do so. But I think I've given you the sort of salient points of what was said in that interview. So definitely something to think about. Tim from Fair Play Now, thanks for watching.